Well, one of China's top military generals has been removed from power as part of an ongoing anti-corruption campaign led by President Xi Jinping. 75-year-old Zhang Youxia was second in command of the Central Military Commission, China's top military decision-making body. He is also considered a longtime friend of President Xi. So what does this mean for China's leader, and could there be more high-profile removals to come? Richard McGregor is the Senior Fellow for East Asia at the Lowy Institute, and he joins me now. Good to have you with us today. Firstly, who is General Zhang, and how powerful a figure was he in the Chinese military?
Well, he was the #1 military officer in China. As you said, he's the #2 on the Central Military Commission, but the #1 person is Xi Jinping as head of the Communist Party. So a very powerful person. Close to Xi over many years. Their fathers were sort of revolutionary comrades. Xi had kept him on for many years beyond sort of notional informal retirement ages. He was 75. So it's a really big shock to see him fall and to fall so quickly. And I guess there was the issue of corruption. But I think the bigger issue is that he seems to have challenged Xi Jinping's authority. And that's a big no-no, particularly when it comes to the military on many levels. And I think that's why he's gone.
Yes, and of course, then we saw this report in the Wall Street Journal. It's reporting that the general had leaked China's nuclear secrets or parts of it to the US. So it's a very serious allegation, this one. Will this ever be investigated? Will the investigation see the light of day? And as you mentioned, are there more to this than these allegations?
Well, I guess the first question about the Wall Street Journal report is it true? And I think it's only appeared in the Wall Street Journal. I have great respect for the two reporters who wrote the story, but I would advise skepticism on that. General Zhang is never alone with the Americans in any format at all. It's very hard to know how that might have happened. Even if he were accused of that, as is alleged in an internal meeting, it might have just been told to people to sort of stir up anger against him. In other words, to reinforce Xi's position to topple this guy. So it might be true. It would be astounding if it were true. Let's see what happens after the investigation. Of course, China doesn't have open investigations. There'll be no open trial. The only information released is what they decide to release.
Yes. And was General Zhang, as you mentioned, the top military officer there behind Xi Jinping, was he ever a threat to the Chinese president?
Well, one wouldn't have thought so because Xi is such a powerful figure, but I don't know whether he was a threat. But he certainly seems to have challenged Xi. Now, Xi, you asked earlier, will other senior generals fall? Well, most of them have fallen. There were, out of the 6 senior generals on the Central Military Commission appointed at the end of 2022, 5 are gone. So there's nobody more senior who can actually fall. Zhang appears to, Xi has been very unhappy with the military for a long time about corruption. He's been very unhappy with the military for not building itself into a sort of, a bigger fighting force despite all their capabilities. But he also doesn't seem to, he seems to have lost confidence in Zhang because Zhang was building his own empire in the military and not doing what Xi wanted. And that's an absolute no-no as far as Xi Jinping goes.
Yes, and I do wonder, these past few years, we have seen, as you mentioned, many purges in the military ranks. I do wonder what it means then for China's Xi Jinping's, one of his ultimate goals, perhaps his legacy piece, that is to gain full control once again of Taiwan. Does it strengthen, do these purges strengthen or weaken the president's resolve on Taiwan?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's very hard to answer definitively one way or the other. But it certainly would have to, in the short term, undermine his options for dealing with Taiwan. In theory, he might want to replace the old guard with a younger group of more assertive generals, but Xi has to get to know them. They have to give him, proper advice. Taiwan is an incredibly risky endeavor for China, no matter how it happens, through war or quarantine or blockade. So it's not a good thing in the short term for the Taiwan enterprise. But of course, that'll be an ambition that will survive Xi, will stay with Xi and survive him in any case. It's not going away. But you can't think that getting rid of 5 of your 6 top generals is, you've annihilated the high command, is going to bring the Taiwan contingency on any faster.
Yes, and what do you think Xi Jinping privately would be thinking in terms of his hold on power in the country? Has he strengthened his position within the Communist Party and the military?
Once again, that's hard to answer. There are no objective signs that Xi is in any trouble. We always get lots of rumors out of China. It's always best to be cautious about them. But I just think that this shows it's a display of strength. Yes, he can get rid of all these people. Yes, he can appoint his own people. Once again, by the way, everybody there was already appointed by him. It's a display of frustration by Xi with the military. It must put everybody else on edge, because if these guys can go, anybody can go. Nobody is safe. So it might make everybody pull up their socks, but it might turn everybody into yes men as well. They'll just nod along with the leader. So I don't think it's a positive sign for Xi Jinping at all.
Yeah, fascinating times there for China and what it means for its ultimate military ambitions. And Richard McGregor, really appreciate your analysis today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.